So we recently had our book launch.
Yes, we did.
How do you feel now that we've finally gotten to the other side of finally getting our product out?
I'm really excited about it because I'm excited for the impact that it's going to make on other people. And I think it'll be dope to have a bunch of above average marriages out in the world and everyone displaying their love and it being louder than the nonsense that's on social media.
Right.
And plus, it'll also be dope for us to have our own like community of people who truly believe in marriage and they actually want to be married and they want to work on their marriage and it be treated like it is a beautiful, sacred, special thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 'Cause I know we've talked for a long while about how so many people today downplay the value of what marriage is because there are so many distorted messages out there. And it's unfortunate that a lot of the low performers in the particular space of marriage get more of the light than the meaningful ones out there and the people who actually take their marriages seriously and know how beneficial and valuable it actually is. And so now I feel like in this approach with us putting out this, with our book, the above average marriage, it gives us more of an opportunity to be able to have something for those people who don't want to just be married, but want to have a marriage that's meaningful and valuable, not only to just them being married, but who they're ultimately becoming as they do life together.
Right.
So I think that it really is going to be able to put marriage on a different type of pedestal when it comes to intentionality and doing marriage on purpose.
I agree with that. I feel like a lot of people fantasize about their idea of what marriage is, but don't know exactly what it is and what it takes to be married. And again, people are going out. People who have only gotten married but didn't work on it at all are tainting the world with their negative experience about marriage itself. And something I made a post about something maybe a couple weeks back, and I was saying how people will say marriage is hard, but when you ask them what was hard about marriage, they're describing things that's just actually hard in life in general. It has nothing to do with the marriage itself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're blaming life's hardship on your marriage. It's like, no, your marriage was weak. You didn't work on it. Therefore, life happened and it impacted your marriage in a negative way. It wasn't the marriage that was hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like if you and your spouse have a difficulty communicating, it's not that marriage is hard or communicating in marriage is hard. It's the two people who need to work on the way that they communicate together to make their communication easier and the way it can work more easily in their marriage.
Absolutely.
It's like it's still two different people who have different mindsets, character traits, skills, whatever the case may be, having to learn how to work together. So it's like, don't put so much of the blame on the value of marriage. It's like you actually just need to up your skills working with this individual that you decided to do life with.
You need to be better.
Yeah.
You need to be better. Like,
Absolutely.
And that's really what it boils down to. It's not that marriage, the concept of marriage is horrible. It's just that two people are learning how to function together within a household, within their relationship, within how they communicate, how they raise kids, their values. You're learning how to mesh together
with another person that you're doing your whole life with.
Exactly.
And so it puts a bigger weight on those decisions and how you go about those things.
And that should actually be more exciting than anything. Because I feel like we've learned so much about ourselves individually from us uncovering things that we wanted to like have established, like our values and our goals. Like it made us realize things about ourselves that we didn't know before.
Yeah. And it makes you take a lot of those things into a deeper consideration when you have to consider somebody else. It's like, how does me getting better at whatever this is benefit both myself and the person that I'm with? And you have to really take that stuff, not even just into deeper consideration, but you have to have another level of intensity and intentionality when it comes to getting better at the way that you experience your emotions and you translate those things to your spouse, be it the way that you communicate, the way that you actually make each other feel, you know, in multiple scenarios, your intimacy, whatever the case may be.
Right.
You're learning how to be able to not only understand your own feelings and what you're going through and being able to highlight your own areas where you may fall short or whatever the case may be, but having somebody who you can share that stuff with, work on it, get better at it, and learn how to be able to coexist and have this space where you both can grow in all of those areas together. Because you could still independently be good in certain areas. You can still independently be good at the way that you show up in the world and the way that you interact with other people and stuff like that. But it's still different when it comes to marriage. And it takes a different type of patience. It takes a different type of accountability and like gentleness and a different way of being able to come at it in a way to where your spouse is able to really receive it. So learning how to manipulate that in a way to where it can really work between the two people. And so like it just takes a little bit more care. But it's not anything that anybody can't do. It just takes time and effort.
I agree. That made me have a thought about how people can be like, oh, well, like I'm a good communicator when it comes to this or whatever. I can communicate, so I know I'll be able to communicate when I'm married. It's completely different when your emotions are extremely involved, when you're speaking to someone at such the rawest, most vulnerable level. Sure, you can go to work and you can speak so eloquently to all of these people you really don't give a fuck about. You really don't care about. But when it comes to us communicating, sometimes even us, the wires get kind of like crossed because we're so emotionally invested in each other.
Yeah.
And that's something we've learned about ourselves like recently, like with us now having a business together. So for me, I have to learn how to, so I communicate in a way that's very like rah, 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 like naturally. You always say I'm a natural 7, right? So now that we're conducting business together, I'm having to learn how to not get so rah, rah, rah or emotionally wound up in business because it triggers you to think that I am either getting upset or bothered. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to make my point. I'm trying to I'm trying to explain the businessy part of this, and I'm learning how to communicate business and I've never done that before. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So learning how to communicate with you in this way is totally different than me communicating with you about my feelings. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm saying like the way people think about things, they think like, since I'm good in this area, communicating in this area or doing this thing in this area, when I go to this area, I should be able to do it perfectly here. And it's like, no, that's not how it works, because you show up differently in different rooms with different vibes in different arenas.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the requirements in those moments are very different.
Yeah.
And it's like, for example, when you're talking about just you being able to communicate me from a wifely standpoint, in that particular area is more about care. It's more about love and support and gentleness and understanding and all of those things. And then when you switch that hat over to business, it's more about performance, effectiveness.
Right.
Like the priority of what the outcome is completely different.
Exactly.
It's like, no, this may not be the most gentle thing, but it's the true thing.
Right.
It's the honest thing. It's like, okay, well, now we got to speak more tactically. We got to think about how does this impact that or whatever, and figuring out like what's more important over here, and this might be less important, and not being controlled by the emotional side of it, and understanding like we have to be really intentional about the outcomes that we're working toward between the two of us.
And that's what's really important about it. It's like, yes, I can have emotions there, but how I communicate can come off like I'm being emotional, and where it's like, okay, it's triggering you to think that I am kind of lost in my emotions in a sense, instead of thinking business wise. And it's like, no, I am thinking about the business. It's just my delivery seems emotional. So I'm having to learn how to dial that part of me back and just be straight. Like, okay, this. Like, I don't know, it's hard for the camera, for people to know what we're talking about, but just learning how to communicate with you in this way is different than speaking to you as your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm having to maneuver this thing, and it's uncovering a different version of me now.
Right.
Between the two of us, and you're having to learn this new version of me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And so, like, in all of that, it throws in another opportunity to challenge us in all that we've grown through in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yet another challenge and hurdle that we got to be able to overcome and just learn how to navigate that space.
And you know what I think is dope is the fact that, you know, we say like challenges and obstacles and things like that, but I think we're both in the mindset of where those things are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We don't look at it as like an issue or like, oh, I don't want to do this thing. It's like, no, this is another opportunity for us to grow together, for us to learn more things about each other, for us to uncover some things that we didn't know was there, you know? And
Right.
there's a level of excitement in that. Mm-hmm. And I think that in some marriages, people have lost excitement in general.
Yeah.
Because their lives get so routine, mm-hmm. and they get into the routine of life and just these daily things, and it gets boring, and they're not pursuing anything together to keep things exciting. Right. So it's like, it's always work, or it's always school, or it's always the kids, washing the dishes, washing the clothes, like house shit. And it's like, well, that's lame. If that's like going to be your life for the rest of your life, that is not exciting. Mm-hmm. So finding ways to keep the spark by creating new challenges for us so we can grow together and watch each other, you know, just get better naturally.
Yeah, because it can't just be about the mundane things, mm-hmm. like just you excelling in your job and getting promoted or whatever. Like, that's good for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it doesn't include everybody in that way. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it has its impact to where, you know, more money in the household, it allows you to be able to take care of the family differently and things like that. But I'm just speak for us. In our instance, we like to be able to pursue challenges in areas where we can grow, like individually and together, and we bring each other into those worlds, mm-hmm. to where our growth in whatever it is that we're dealing with, it allows us to be able to include each other and to support each other and find these new parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed, mm-hmm. or to just see who these new obstacles will like allow us to just uncover in ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
And so like, and that keeps so much of the relationship different and interesting, because as we're pursuing things, again, we're having to become completely new people as we develop new skills, mindsets, knowledge, information, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we look up 30 days from doing something like that, and we literally are completely new people in our marriage, mm-hmm. with a whole new outlook on either what we're pursuing, maybe on who we are individually, whatever the case. Mm-hmm. So we're quite literally like developing in like real time.
And I love that about us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even in that, it's so dope when those 30 days pass, right? And we reflect back on everything we did in those 30 days. And we started to really uncover like, dang, like I outgrew the old version of myself, like within those 30 days. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, I'm at this point to where like I no longer think about myself as this, or I'm no longer doing this procrastination thing, or like just learning from ourselves as we reflect back together, mm-hmm. you know? And that's so exciting to me. It's so necessary for us, because it's like, if you're not aware of what's going on with you, like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And that's what I think about. I'm like, bro, I don't want to look up and think like, dang, I really did the same shit over and over and over and over again and got nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Or that you just got sick of it.
Yeah.
And like bored and tired of it. And like now you're at a point in life, you know, you look up so many years later and you're mm-hmm. like, what have I been doing?
Literally.
Like, what is life? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of people end up that way, mm-hmm. because they just, well, you know, got the job, you know, we making the money, we go on some vacations here, mm-hmm. and, you know, we go out on a date night every now and again, but like nothing feels significant. And that might not be the case for everybody. Like,
Yeah, of
because some
course.
people, they do get significance or value out of that routineness or whatever, because everybody's values are different.
Of course.
But in figuring out what works for you, it's a huge part in being able to just say, like, this is what makes me feel the most alive. And like our marriage is the most significant, and figuring out like how that works for each other and being able to share that process together. Because again, it can look different for everybody.
Right.
And I think in ours, we know that we always need to be chasing something down. We always need to find a way to where we can challenge ourselves in a productive way to where we can grow and become more, because that's in according to our values.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
what we find important, which again, may be something completely different for other people.
Right.
But
And it took us some time to get to the point to where we realized that was our driving force.
yeah.
You know, it was like, okay, we got to the point to where we were doing like just daily routines, mundane things. And we were like, wait a second. We started not being who we truly were. Like our personalities got watered down. We became introverted.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So it started taking away parts of ourselves that we actually love to be. You know, so yeah, we had to snap ourselves out of that mundane routine type life, because that wasn't us.
Yeah, lockdown was really out here like changing people.
It really did.
We didn't realize how much of an impact it had on us until, like a year or so later after the fact. And but what's interesting in all of that is, even through all of these processes and the way that we navigate them, all of that makes us so much more above average when it comes to how we do our marriage. Because in all of that change and all of those different interests and all of those different things that we pursue together, the way that we include each other, the way that we're intentional about why we're going after things and who we're becoming in that process, and the way that, like I said, that we include each other, that's not something that a lot of people do. And that is in and of itself so far above average, because it shows that you care enough to do something meaningful for yourself that you also know will benefit your family, and also being able to include each other in a way to where you can go after that thing fully, knowing that you have the support of the person you're doing life with.
Yeah.
And it might sound so simple, but man, it makes such a huge impact knowing that anything that in our, referring to us, anything that I ever decide to go after, I know that it's going to be that much easier for me to do and that much better for me when I include my wife in the process.
Yeah.
And when you're going after anything, when you include me in your process, it allows me to be able to be there for you, to support you, and even manage myself and how I might feel at different challenging obstacles in that process, and vice versa. That inclusion is everything.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's like the glue to it all, because now nothing's happening casually. And so as you're growing and you're becoming more and you're changing, it's not just that it's happening to you individually, it's happening to the both of you, because you're also learning how to care for the person you're with differently. You learn how to show up for them differently. You're learning how to do all of these small little new things that the old version of them either didn't need or now you need. And so it's dope, man. Challenging at times, but it's dope.
I like discovering those new things. Like discovering new ways to support you and show up for you. Like I think I've said this before, like I look for opportunities to support you and help you, even in ways that you probably don't even realize. Because you're important to me and I care about you and I care about the things that you want in life. And I want one of my biggest desires is to help you get to where you want to be in life. And if that means I have to find ways to help you and it challenges me in a way where I got to level up in life, then that means I need to level up so I can help my husband get to where he wants to be. But I strive to be impactful and that helpmate that you need to get to where you want to be.
Vice versa.
Yeah. Like I love that. I love the pursuit of helping you. I love the pursuit of you pursuing who you want to be because I get to be included, and I love helping you be that.
I think that's
I
really
hope
what
that
it's
really
all
makes
about.
sense how I said it.
No, I think that's really what it's all about, man. Like always having that something to pursue. And again, regardless of how big or small it may be, but just knowing that you're moving towards something meaningful with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, knowing that whatever it is, that either I've decided to go after, that we've decided to go after together, like knowing that we have each other through that process, like it makes doing whatever the thing is that much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that we have that love and that support, and that you're doing it for a reason that benefits you both,
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to be cared for through that process. Like I think it's one of those things that could probably either be taken for granted a lot and undervalued, but
Yeah.
it means a lot to me. I tell you that for sure. And I know that even in all of the times that I've shown up for you and the things that are important to you, like I know how much it means to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dope that we get to do that again on an individual level and together.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it.
Me too.
Having said that though, hey man, I hope you guys have enjoyed this chill conversation between my queen and I. And we've always, hoped that in anything that we share, that you guys get the absolute most value out of it in whatever way that you were able to, just by watching our exchange. But until next time, my name is John Trone. This is my beautiful queen.
Adoria.
We are one dope couple. And until next time, family, peace and love.